Hello?
Hi, can you
How
hear
are
me?
you?
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Morning, Mark. How you doing? I'm Josh Redmond. Good morning. Oh, welcome. Hey, I'm already in. Mark? Yes. 17. You just got you. Yes. My wife. Connecticut?
Hi, Josh. Welcome to the meeting. Jay.
Hello, yep. Peter Hallius.
Peter.
Hey, Peter. Morning. Morning,
Good
Jim.
morning.
Greg, you see up here? You want me to get you a seat up here? A chair? You good? Okay. Good.
One more minute. We can start. Yeah, it's Peter Halius. Peter Halius is on the phone. No. I don't believe he's gonna be joining today. He's in Dallas. He is Mimi. He works with me.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get going. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have four or five directors present, so we have quorum. I can confirm that the notice of the meeting was in accordance with statutes. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our last meeting. Is there any discussion amongst the directors About that time.
I'm making a motion.
Oh, yeah. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Right. It passed. All right, the next item is the president's report. I'm kind of merged president's report with the treasurer. And I'm gonna follow kind of the outline of what I've been sending out. Just A, to try to make sure I don't miss anything, and B, to try to keep it organized in some respects. So, would you go ahead and try to get up that first page? Yeah. Anyway, in terms of financials, we've got the January financials, really small size. So it really doesn't mean a whole lot, but we're $23,000 under budget. So far for 2026. So all in a good start, but really doesn't mean a whole lot. Can't tell too much from it. The next item I want to move on to is kind of a stuck-up project. This is important. I'm glad to see we've got some turn. Just they show up here, but well, it was up there, so I was going to talk about it. All right. As of this point in time, well, I've sent all this material out. Let's talk about, just the math here. Here are the facts, with what we've got right now. So we know we're $1,350,000 short with nothing else. We know of two large change orders that are coming. The first one has to do with the east side of the in the contract, for whatever reason, the assumption was that RL James would discover 40% of the stuff on that side. A couple of meetings weeks ago, Antonio and I were informed that the number was more like 95%. And we made the decision at that point in time to do the whole thing. If we were going to go 95%, we'd rather have waterproof behind the stucco. We'd rather, not have just a couple of patches. So we made that call. Unfortunately, by the time we had the information, stucco application was already happening on the first east side drop. So there are a couple of panels of old stucco that won't be removed because we can't remove those without tearing it up. Stucco that's been applied. So we didn't think that made sense. So we will have just a little bit of stucco, but we're going to end up doing virtually the entire east side. When we get over here to the west side, the same assumption was made, 40% of the stuff, but would be included in the contract. If that one is virtually 100%, this one's going to be virtually 100%. So we've got two large items there. The first one, the change order for every year. I hate to tell you this, but we're talking something that's in half of the range. By the time you cover the stucco, and by the time you add waterproofing for 60%, that wasn't factored in the original waterproofing change. Now I don't have a number, I don't have quantities, and I'm talking plus minus 30%. And once we get the numbers, we'll negotiate to the extent we can without creating an adversarial position with our companies. But everybody here can do the math. If that's that magnitude, this is going to be what, 30 or 40% of that magnitude. We're talking about a number that's somewhere in the $2 million range. So I'd kind of like to just get a sense, and Jennifer, if you would kind of count this, but assuming we're talking about $2 million 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm 10. Becky's 11. Terry, where would Mimi stand? Okay, well, 11, Leo, you.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. What was the question?
Oh,
Boy, I am too. I can't hear.
well, that was the reason for the straw poll. I mean, we're 11 to 1, not knowing where Mimi's standing on the potential of this body full of debate for it. And, because you don't know the real numbers. I know. And over here, it's mostly glass, so how much of that is gonna be added on? Well, my thought process is that if you compare the relative amounts of stucco over here versus over here, we're at 30, 35, 40% of the amount of stucco here that's over there. So I think we can just kind of extrapolate what we would expect to see. As we go along, these numbers are going to get more precise, but I think we're within a 30% factor at this point. I realize that's pretty but over time, we'll be able to narrow it down. But, at $2 million, we're 11 to pay for it, 1 to consider financing, and I had no choice to kind of go with
Question, for the $2 million, that's the whole shortfall, not just east and west
yes,
number, right? That's the total number.
That's the whole
so
short.
far. Yeah.
The estimated remaining slider buildings, I rule of thumb, just kind of guess at that, assuming those levels of change. So $2 million's in the ballpark. Sir, I have been involved enough. Is there any liability on the construction? Well, we've already settled. That's the money that we've been spending so far, on this project. But what I'm saying is this project is going to end up being 2 million plus minus more than water settled. Does that make sense? Well, I understand the word. It doesn't make sense to me. Why aren't these contractors responsible for the greater portion of the whole bill? But because we've settled. But that was before you had the information that the stucco wasn't working. Well, we knew the stucco was bad. We didn't know the extent of how that was until we got the process carried on. Mike, you want to elaborate on anything with respect to the settlements?
We went through this for two or more years, John, and we had a number of presentations about the risk and the mitigation and so forth. The decision was to achieve the best settlement we could at that time. That's what we did, and that's what was approved. What was the amount of the settlement compared to the 2 million?
In round numbers,
It was 1.8.
about 1.8. So this project is going to end up being plus minus about 3 million. So the settlement funds were less than half of our. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us more about what slider is? Because I've been following this for years. And slider participating on $250,000. Are they here every day tapping on the slider? Because if we go way back and how we settled, because of what we thought the worst case condition was, maybe slider didn't give us very good information. Maybe slider, when we hired to approximate the damage, was way off.
Well, I think that's true. I think we can already say that.
Yeah, but that's why we hired. I'm not calling you party. I'm just saying, I think the fault lies in slider. And I'm grossly underestimating this
until we got into the project, we didn't know what it was. And even if Slider had got it right.
Hmm.
We're in the same boat we're in.
Well, we are, but what I'm saying is, if Slider had gotten a better estimate, it could have been closer to the 3 million stuff the project cost. And
We would have
Slider thought it was here, so we might have been somewhere in the middle, and only been off by a million or less. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, but can you tell us what Slider does?
Sure.
I know what they use.
First of all, they designed the scope, and they designed the process of the application, right? So, and Ron shows up weekly, is that a?
Yeah, it's been weekly, give or take a day or two, but he comes on property and makes sure that what's being applied and everything is done properly.
They mark the areas that are deep, or you can tell, it's just like before.
Slider does it.
The workers, yeah, and then Slider comes back through.
The orange, yeah.
And he, takes the sample size of what they've done, just verifies that they're on. And then he'll come look at, there are roughly about 15, that's a plus minus 2, different applications on every project. From demo to cleaning to stucco accessory, from the worker to stucco accessories, to stucco applications, paint, right? Quite a number of them. And at each interval, he is here looking at those applications.
And he's here for hours each time, Jennifer.
I don't know about hours, but I would say at least 2 hours.
2
He's
hours.
also on our weekly meetings and going through stuff with us as well.
I guess kind of how we get these fees.
Well, it's in the contract. It was like 8.5%, I believe, of the whole
Yeah, so
R.L. James contract.
Let me find out.
So Slider charges us based on the contract.
Yes,
Oh, I thought project.
it's not hourly or anything.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys. In summary, which likely correct me if I'm wrong, in this sort of Sullivan, and to piggyback what you were saying, Slider came in under contract, forensics investigation, began that in early October 2018. Spent approximately 10 months to the end of July 2018. Then also received another report by Delta, but he then took 2 months and formulated his report, which is dated September 20, 2018. 50 pages included affordability code violations, included matters regarding fashion and so forth that were deficient. That report, together with 2 other reports, were attached to the Association 558, the general contract, and that was dated October 17, 2018. Following that up, Slider came back in February 2021 and spent time doing additional testing, formulated another report dated February 25, 2021. That presented augmentation of its 558 to the contract. Then after that, in May 2022, Slider came in for approximately 3 weeks, and with Swing State did additional testing. Now this testing was additional exploratory testing, water testing, and so forth. There was a pretty good sized group that did this. They formulated another report that was dated September 26, 2002. Now, the Slider Engineering Group formulated a bid package that bids were obtained from USSI, Valcourt. Those were submitted in 2023. Going back to 2021, April 2nd, there was an estimate of $855,000 for the stucco, same scope, 2021 April. The bids that came in 2023 from USSI Valcourt were more than that. The association decided to postpone. Then another bid package came together, and there were this for a very long time. You might remember in the June 2025 board meeting, I had suggested putting on my certified property manager, yeah, which I'm certified at 43 years ago, free, suggested that it be an hourly rate to Slider for his time and materials and coming, do this inspection work because of the anticipation of what's happening. Now, there is an opportunity that Marty and Michael, Wayne, Becky, Roland may have to amend the Slider agreement, given this situation, given this extensive investigation work. The first 10 months, I mean, if you look at the report in the beginning of the 2018 report, you'll see it was extensive investigation, which is required really under the 500 notification. But in this opportunity, Slider may be agreeable to negotiate the add-on rules to where he might be slightly less. Might see that we're, paying attention to it. But Marty is correct. If you're approximately X dollars on this elevation, but the majority of the stuff over here will be so all while this was going on, the work that was programmed under the Blu-ray engineering work, which is a journal inspection, 2017, was chosen really for record not to be performed. So that contributed, and I believe Michael may or may not be able to speak to it because the attorney client privilege, but not. But from what I saw in the expert reports that I read from the subcontractors associated with the stucco work, the concrete work, and so forth, and the general contractors experts, they used the no maintenance, the fact that there were 9 hurricanes and storms from TCO of July 8, 2016 to 2023. And then since then, we had it down in Helene and Milton. So they used that to their advantage to say, well, now you got hurricane damage. So that's probably what was pushing Michael in the game towards a settlement that had happened. Because those reports are extensive, and I read them. Yeah.
Okay, now, okay. All right, let's get back on track.
Yes.
Okay, we are where we're at. Now, I would expect that you're going to see pretty near future a special assessment that's proposed. It's going to be in this range, probably break it up into payments, using my $2 million credit. And first day is probably June 1st, and next day is somewhere in the neighborhood of December. So, that's coming, and it's coming quick.
Who's responsible? Is it us or our LJs to clean up the balconies where all the air conditioning condensers?
And it'll be their responsibility to do that. Again, you're gonna see the contract cleaned up that we may want to send, David back through for a little further cleanup. But what will happen, this was actually discussed yesterday, specific to the air conditioning. They will come in, they will clean everything up, just kind of dust it. They will then come in with a blower and try to blow. They will then come in with a hose and try to wash the AC. Now, that will not be 100% perfect. It'll manage, but that's the process they will go through as they get toward the period with respect to the balcony. Yes.
Putting on my certified property management cabinet, there are breathable covers for our HVAC. They're about $83 when they get into their grinding process, which the concrete dust, plastic, but we might consider to protect our HVAC. They're breathable, and so forth. But you're absolutely right. That keeping those clean.
Those are on. We also had a conversation yesterday about making sure when May, June, July, August, September rolls around, that they be finished enough, they take those I understand, the weather, there's coverage. Issues. So we're gonna try to preventatively not do that.
I know that Gavin's doing my, cap on top of the fan.
It's just a cap. It's just a cap. It's the name of the AC unit. It's
Right,
still
it's
gonna
just-
work.
It's just a cap,
Yes.
but
It's
you
not
all know,
damaged.
well, Marty did, the guy was sitting on top of one of my units, he should have been sitting on it. The cap is missing, I don't know what it costs to replace, or event anything, because I can't see.
Well, I talk about this frequently, and Tony Hillings can verify. You know, and I will continue to talk about putting things back as they come, or making it right in some form of fashion.
We had our air conditioning service, regular guy, he said, our units are in great shape. That's for us.
Now, I personally,
I think if you see something like that happen, why don't you take pictures?
I did.
you did.
Okay.
And I reported it to RL James.
You did.
Take that.
Yeah.
Let's keep in mind, we won't keep moving.
One other comment following these, there are companies that specialize in, very similar to if you were to finance an insurance proceed for a very large, or premiums for a very large project, that will come in for this project, and pretty much at probably today's rates around 6%, provide a finance for maybe $1 million, put it on paper. Just like an insurance company subs it out to a finance for these very large insurance premiums, something to consider about.
And the plan is, you know, majority consensus.
Yeah, right.
Which is the reason I tried to do Charlotte.
One short question, program, we have half plates, we have full plates, right? So roughly half plates are what, 4% program? The standard, well, then we could all get an idea.
What are you asking?
Yeah,
How much is this shit?
Well, at $1.3 billion, which I put together like months ago,
Right.
it was 60 grand for a full unit,
right, okay.
So-
4%. Oh, for full unit,
for a full
full
unit.
plate, for full plate.
Yes.
So that was a 1.3.
And it's now gonna be higher than that. But once it comes to, you know, there'll be a spreadsheet created, which will have
I understand.
all your stuff put
But
together.
our full plate and a half plate percentages are fixed. Or rather, sure, we have our
Yes.
XOA, makes sense.
Yes,
You do that.
Yes.
So we have what, 4%, 8% or something like that.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's already programmed in there. Send me an email and I'll do the calculation for you.
Okay.
If you're interested.
Okay, continuing, let's move on. That's coming. That's coming. I realize it's painful. I wish I had a story to tell you, but that's. Okay, you sent me comments on that we had a bit of issue on the South balconies. With those being excluded from the scope of work on our contract. You know, this is in your update, but that got settled with 42,000, you know, which is below, you know, the midpoint of the sheet. So I'm very comfortable with that. And again, you know, my negotiating strategy with these guys, just like doing it's fine with negotiation. But there's a fine line that if you cross it, you're gonna pay the price because they're gonna cut the quality. So we've been 10 years in issues. And the last thing I'm gonna have is 10 years from today, y'all can say, one. So, you know, I'm gonna err on the side, this needs to be fixed for.
I think we all agree.
Hey, Marty, I do recall the south elevation of one, there was that exception. So I think you did a good job negotiating that. Wrap up this, they exclude that from their base contract.
Jennifer, would you put that in 15 minutes?
It's fun, that's fun.
And I will also say that Slider was beneficial in that process. You know, they weren't perfect, they moving on to Jennifer's resignation. We all know, that's happened, you've done a hell of a job while you've been here. We appreciate your service. Things change in life. I'm disappointed that Marie, you tell her that, wasn't here. Wasn't that help someone with the transition. Kind of hear the time, what we're talking about. But best, all the best, in your future.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hurt.
Okay.
That's,
Okay,
you don't need it.
Thanks so much.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, elevators. We all know we've got real problems. We have engaged and will be ratifying at the end of that I signed, for a consultant to come in and try to tell us what the consultant would be, come in and try to tell us, he's an engineer, so from the engineer's perspective, try to help our cause. I tried to get him a blank slate, to try to, say, hey, it's possible they could do these pieces, in a relative near term, and then somewhere down the road do these other pieces. We talked over and over and over about trying to get rid of proprietary equipment. He did say there's no way in the world you're going to get rid of all proprietary equipment unless you want to spend big bucks. And just start over with somebody else. So more to come. We don't have this report. I feel good about this guy. And he, how do you feel?
Yeah, I attended the meeting. I'm not a technical person, but he seems to know what he's doing, and let's see what his report says.
Okay. All right, so a lot more to come. Who were you talking about? What's the name of the company? It's VDA. It's the company. I don't know what this is. Okay, they've been our consulting, elevator expert for a while. Who's the proprietary?
TKE.
Tyson from Fire Use.
Putting out my certified property manager. This is Crawford, the largest elevator manufacturer installer was engaged to manufacture, install, and maintain. At some point, the board thought it would be best to change this property deal. Now, a year ago, you guys might remember that Mark was thinking about going back to this. I've reviewed the landmark elevator consultant report that's dated March 6, 2008. And in that report, it talks about good condition, and it had a list of maintenance items. It wasn't construction defect related, that's probably what didn't include them in their litigation. I also read the BPA report, which you requested back in February, and Jennifer sent it to all of us. I reviewed that again. And it has a my suggestion, we go back and consider getting a proposal from this crop as an office in Brayton for probably no charge, have them come and consider for us to engage them on their platinum service program. So we don't have any of this proprietary technology, parts, and components, which is what we faced last summer. And for those of you who were here last summer, Jennifer knows, we were out of elevator 3 months waiting for the proprietary parts. Maybe it was a clash of the general manager, this is from input and so I don't know. I would really encourage BPA to take a look at it.
So I highly suspect that in his report, he's going to recommend we go back for service.
Oh,
I highly suspect. The issue, well, there's a good side of that and a bad side. The good side of that is they actually have the systems to figure out what's wrong without doing this inside service. Bad side is they are notorious for not showing up. Yeah, so if you got an elevator that's out, one thing, for an elevator, based on what I've heard from our consultant, is lower skill, that, somewhere in the middle. skilled service people, but they show up to meet. So,
But maybe there's that platinum plant that this crop wasn't under glory, was, you know, from.
the reason we put them away from Tyson Trump is because you couldn't, not that I couldn't get them, Billy, you couldn't get them on the phone.
Right.
I mean, they were just
Service is
impossible.
terrible.
So we had no choice. We don't love that thing. But they were miserable.
Can I ask? Sure. We've had dozens of downtime in service calls. In a nutshell, tell us, there are only certain parts in an elevator, it's not rocket science. What has been breaking constantly?
I don't
I mean,
know.
we must have fixed every part of it.
Well, there are probably 100 components to an elevator.
Okay. It's not so.
It is not simple.
And our installation makes it even more. Our
Installation.
You know, an elevator. Go ahead, I'll get back to this.
Tyson Crow, since we've had this building sold twice, first sale, those people wanted to get rid of the equipment. So they made it very difficult for the union employees. They did get rid of a lot of employees. The company was then sold again. So you don't have the same people working there to install the system of elevators. They don't have, and then another thing is, they stopped manufacturing some of the parts because they don't make that particular system anymore.
According to our consultant, I'm gonna do this in a minute. You know, at the time this building was built, for about a 5-year time. TK come up with this idea of horizontal installation. Pulling in the motors, right? So instead of going over a pulley and pulling the elevator up and down, we now are flat, and the cables come out and they go down under, you know, to raise it up and down. The stresses of this versus that are considerably more, particularly put in salt tank and water. The kind of environment we've got with salt water in the air, you know, you end up, you know, with a lot more issues, rust and that kind of stuff, which makes the system worse. But there are numerous components. It's very computer based, and the braking system and the things associated with the braking system seem to be the general cause of most of the traffics, that the brain says stop.
Yep.
And you're not there.
Well, they did in the PDA report, refer to the sheets, which are the wheels basically that grip ropes, and those are under, they requested that within the 12-month period, those be quoted. And I don't know if that got done.
Yes, they did.
Okay, and then, so those items are gonna come to head. I think it's a great move to have an update for, you know, for everything important. And if you had something else that you wanted.
One of the early reports said cables should be replaced.
They don't need to be replaced. When he was out here, he thought that initially, but when he did his inspection, he actually came back and apologized. Because he said they should have been replaced like every 5 years because of the way that the elevator is, and he said they're in excellent condition.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I was
Now,
surprised.
weirdly enough, this guy is out here during one of the traffics.
Yes.
So he actually was with
Yes,
the people, you know, trying to, you know, unentrap whomever it was. So I'm gonna advance the ball here. You know, you're obviously gonna go elevators. Our undersized rooftop HVAC unit, we have had an initial meeting with a consultant, by Swire, the Brad Brown fellow, or doesn't do the remediation, or he didn't do the fix, instead of the problem. So this guy will do the fix. You can comment on this if you like. I don't have a look. I don't know, that could change, you know, over time, but my first meeting with him this was our HVAC consultant, which is was, I'll never pronounce this, Wozniak Associates. This is for an undersized HVAC system on the roof that cools all of the common areas around the right now, report says it's about 50%, so it should have been. I don't know. But I know what that. And it doesn't work, it doesn't cool, it doesn't, yeah, the higher you are, the worse it is. So if you're at the fourth floor, you're probably freezing. But that's pretty cool.
So are you going to ask, Rick Slider to maybe recommend another, consultant since Cam, Brad, Brown, and
This came from Mike.
That's what we did, and this is the last. And we may be asking again, we'll see, you know, what we get, we're in very early stages. This meeting was this past Monday, right?
Yeah.
Monday of this week, so it's, hadn't much time to change. All right, FSR renewal, contract with FSR ends on March 31st, process negotiating the renewal terms. You know, at some point in time, once we get this building to where it functions well, you know, I think we could have a serious discussion about not using FSR and doing things ourselves. But when you start talking about, you know, finding, you know, you're talking about a whole nother job or something. So until the first job you get done, that was going to be on the back burner, and this is subcontract work into FSR. We're close to having it negotiated. There's one point we're going back and forth. We're doing this. First service. That's who Jennifer works. Yeah.
What's the term? The 3 years?
And this one is a 4.
It's 3.
It's three.
Well, she added 29 too.
20.
It's 26, 27.
I thought she said 3 in it, then she added.
It started as 3, and then in
Yeah.
negotiation at the same price.
But you can
year
always
3, she
cancel
added year 4.
You can cancel it anytime, 60-day notice. So
Okay.
Yeah.
if you could do a 4-year to get a better price, then
We will try to negotiate it. Or we don't cross the line. Right, property insurance renewal, really no information other than Brown and Brown was optimistic that things should go, you know, we should be. Moving on to reserves, that was in your packet. We've got a CD patrol over the 13th, whatever day that is, and you know, so that we got. All right, that I think concludes the president's and the treasurer's report. Any questions that haven't been asked?
Who's the woman on the screen?
Becky's
That's Becky.
here. She's on the board of directors.
Yeah, I know the record woman, that's very tall.
That is not a woman, that's a man, and he's helping me.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Mimi character. Okay, yeah.
And he has signed all the documents, so.
Okay, if no further, you know, comment or discussion about the president's or treasurer's side or to the manager's report.
Okay. We have quite a few things, but I'll try to run through it quickly. We had a few repairs. The club room TV was replaced. Piper Fire was on site to fix a small leak to the fire pump. The blinds in the gym and the club room stopped working. Those were fixed. The speaker in the service elevator was inspected and it is working properly. The fob system went down on the first floor And what happened is we have what's it called? A designated internet line for that system, and somehow it jumped to something else and it stopped working. IT guy came out and fixed it, so everything is good. We have some repairs in progress. Elevators, we're not gonna redo all that. The carbon monoxide detectors in the garage on the 3rd floor do not have power to them. It may be a transformer that needs to be replaced. The steam room boiler keeps popping the breaker, and the pool jets are not working. Now, I'm starting to get concerned that maybe the contractors are pulling too much power and we are having issues. I know there was a resident on the 14th floor that was having issues with some of his power. So that might be something that we need to bring up in the RLJ's meetings to see if that's affecting anything. And then the annual life safety inspection passed, but they did red tag our fire pump. Our fire pump has been red tagged since before I came here. But the reason they're red tagging it is some of the smoke detectors have paint on them. So they're gonna come in and take the paint off of those drops so that if there's a fire, it will pop out, and then that will re-green tag it. It's more of a cosmetic thing, but if there's too much buildup, the pressure won't pop it, and then the sprinkler won't work. Just sort of the safety of everybody, we'll just get it taken care of. The hose spigot on amenities right here is going bad, so it's gonna need to be replaced, and in order to do that, they'll have to shut the water down to the building. There's an exit light out in the break room, and there is also a light out on the 2nd floor garage. Those are the repairs in progress. Staff, Montana, as you know, is no longer here. Sharon is working Tuesday through Saturday to cover the Saturday shift. David will work on Monday to cover Mondays. David passed his pool certification course, so he will be taking care of the pool, and then we will let Water Club of America go at the end of this month. They've already been notified. Any pool repairs will need to be done by Pools by Lowell, and they'll also be the acid and chlorine supplier. I will be away after today, returning on, I believe, the 19th and 20th, and then the 23rd will be my last day. David will be on vacation April 9th, 10th, and 13th. And last but not least, we will be having our annual elevator inspection that is scheduled for March 17th. They will be doing a Cat 5 load. I'm not sure it will pass, but you will have a delay in getting up and down the elevators. You may want to have this rescheduled if the elevator is not working, because then you have to take the stairs. So depending on how things are going, you might want to do that. So the power will be switched over to the generator. Yes, John.
We're at 60%. Stairs.
If we have, no, honey, if we have an elevator that is out, it needs to be rescheduled so that nobody has to take the stairs.
Good idea.
So you'll have to watch that. I'll still be here during that time. And if we need to, we'll reschedule it. So there's 3 different companies that come on property for that inspection.
Simultaneous workers doing stuff at work at the same time.
Yes,
Maybe
but
elevators.
when we have our elevators down, they've been directed to take the stairwell so that they're not using the elevator unless they have equipment or they're going to the roof, to limit the use so that the residents aren't waiting so long for that. It's an agreement that we have discussed and they've agreed to do that for us. So right now they're using the stairs to amenities from the 1st floor until the other elevator gets put back in service. Any questions? Yes.
Last Saturday night, it's not the first time. There's somebody here after 6 o'clock. My phone rang, 4 to 7. And I picked it up, and there was nobody there. It was a call box. And I tried to speak to whoever it was, nothing. So I couldn't communicate with them. I went downstairs and
outside the road.
It's not the first time, and I brought it, and I must have done that 3 or 4 times in the last months.
Yeah,
That whole box is not good.
it does work. What happens is that these Amazon drivers and the subsequent drivers are to deliver their packages regardless. So what they don't want to do is take them back to the warehouse and get docked for them. So they deliver them. So they're just pushing buttons, hoping somebody answers, and they're gonna come down and get them. Unfortunately, the way that the packages are set up through Amazon is they deliver from 4 AM until 8 or 9 PM. So unless you're gonna staff the desk for that whole entire time, you are going to have packages that are gonna sit outside the door, regardless of the sign that we have there, because they don't speak or read English. So,
My suggestion is to increase the hours to 8 o'clock rather than have that person be 6.
yeah, you have to, the board will have to decide it. Yes, Charlotte?
Jennifer, we've had several guests who have used the box,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't work. The same thing happened to us. Guests have said they've called to say we're here, and the phone might ring or it might not. Many times it just doesn't. But if the phone does ring, there's no one.
Can't hear.
There's no one there. And this is a guest, not a delivery. So, there's one more person. And also, last year, there was a fire test. Yes. And we received an email saying that there was going to be a test of the alarm system. I didn't see the email. And so the alarm came on saying evacuate, so forth, and I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Needless to say, getting down 2 stories with his walker was not good. All I'm asking is that there be another form of communication, plus the fact that the system should say, this is a test.
Yeah, I agree.
Instead of just blatantly saying, get the hell out.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, I've talked to you about the elevator cameras, and it's really too bad that notifications can't be on those cameras on the elevators. Because, and you've said that.
Oh, yeah, they don't,
One of the elevators, the parts aren't available,
right.
but we've got to get a better system of communication.
Yeah, I think that we discussed when Mark was here about doing like flyers on residents' doors of these certain things so that it's right there, because I know many of you don't read your emails or get them in time, and then it's already passed and then you had no recollection of it. So that's something that can be done, where we just print out stuff and we tape it to your door and then you throw it away afterwards, if that's something they want to implement. Yep. Door side.
Jennifer will add those comments using her transition communication.
Oh, also, we did have power problems on 16, with breakers going on.
Yep.
So just.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
We having overlap between Marie and Jennifer?
I don't know that we're gonna have physical overlap. There's been already a lot of communication. I don't speak FSR, but Jennifer has funneled, this data to her about everything that's ongoing. Also, Marie had told me that there was a candidate, this was on last Friday, and I had asked her to set up this week, the staggered board, to meet this candidate, and I haven't heard anything else. So I don't really know how this search is coming. Maria said, she covers for you. So
Yeah, I
that's
assume,
our expectation.
yeah, I assume she'll be here. I don't know if she'll be here every day, but she should have desk time here until somebody comes in, but she's also managing two.
One more question. I would think, as first service is that you always have some of the training, because you're always gonna have maternity, sick outs, other things. And they have dozens of properties.
Yeah, they only do that for the Tampa market. They don't do any of that over Sarasota.
You know, no one, but some, like, if something had happened catastrophic to you during your 3 or 4 years here, we would be in the same position. They wouldn't have had anybody.
You know, the manager or the RD would have to sit at the property when time allows. But she's also, they had a regional director leave the company, so she's actually doing 2 teams right now on top of having to manage this property, so.
She can do all that.
Yep, she can.
All right, next on the agenda is the amenities committee, which is something that you guys may not have, heard about yet, but Becky is agreed to, kind of be the chair of that going forward. And, the idea, and then Becky will turn it over to you. The idea with that is just to evaluate our amenities relative to other amenities in the area. How much we're using, each of these amenities. And over a long term, because you worry your pockets enough, but over a long term, are there modifications that we can make? And if so, what are they? That's kind of the goal. So take it from there, Becky.
All right, Marty, you said it well. I'm in charge of the committee and I'm happy to, anybody wants to.
Becky, hang on. We're going to try to turn the volume. Can't hear you.
It's hard to hear. I struggle hearing you guys.
I don't have. Okay,
All right, can you hear me?
Just speak as loud as you can.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Becky Sager. I'm in 802. And like Marty said, I'm chairing up the amenities committee. He pretty much said it. We're just trying to utilize the space better. A lot of the spaces don't get used. If anybody has any suggestions or wants to be part of the committee, I'm open for anything, any suggestions how we could use the spaces better. You can email me. You can contact any of us on the board. Let us know if you have any ideas or how you would like us to use the space better. I've looked around and looked at other spaces of what other places have, and we are similar. We're just a smaller condo that I feel like we have less residents, so things don't get used as much. So if you guys have any suggestions, just let me know. I'm open for anything.
Hi Becky, it's Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Request that I be put on your committee if that's possible. And
Sure.
perhaps Stowe would like to be on the committee too. No? Okay. Because I'm intimately familiar with the use of the amenities. If there actually is a committee, or if you are the only committee member. But
I am.
I offer that.
Okay. Okay, great. Anybody else interested, feel free. You can email me or call me or whatever. You have my information. I'd welcome any help.
Is there a list of what the amenities are? There probably will be as she gets further along with what she's done, just detailing what we got. And that's kind of the first step. This is what we have.
Is there anyone else on?
No.
Besides Becky?
I mean, would you like to meet?
I'll think about it.
I can be on. Becky, it's signed Jim Lample 501.
Yes.
And Charlotte Schuler, 1601. Sewler.
Okay. Wonderful. And Jennifer, you're marking all this down. You'll let me know, correct?
Yep.
And Jennifer, she offered a lot of good info, like she knows who's using the gym. She knows how often the grills get used, the sauna, what is it? There's steam room, different things like that. She has a lot of good input on, a lot of stuff just does not get used.
Okay, all right, moving on. Our next item is ratification of the Becker annual agreement. There's not a whole lot of meat to that. It's just simply their, representation agreement. It's already been signed. Well, is there any discussion from the board about that? And if not, could I have a motion for approval? How much?
It's $225, I believe, for the fee, for the agreement, and then whatever the charges are per month. Yes.
Yes, but that's $25. That's just kind of the retainer agreement to re-up for each year. They'll obviously bill by hour. Trust me, they know how to do it. That's it.
Sorry, I'll make a motion to approve annual agreement.
Can I have a second?
Really? I guess a second, yeah.
All right, any opposed? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, the next thing is the ratification of the PDA. Again, this has already happened. I signed an agreement with PDA, and I do not remember the amount. It was about $4,000, which again is for the elevator, investigation, recommendations, etc. Technically, since it's a contract, we've got to ratify that. Any discussion by the board on that? They have a motion. Are they doing a good job? I feel good about this guy. I haven't received the report, but I feel good.
I'll move that they approve and ratify the PTA.
Second.
All right, any further comment, any dissension? All approved? Aye.
Aye.
The next item is ratification of Arno James change orders that haven't been formally ratified. I'll briefly run through change order number 2, and this is all already in the numbers. Change order number 2 is to add a bond. It was roughly, and I apologize, I've got numbers. Change order number 2 was round numbers, $32,000. It was signed by Mark Williams back when he was here. It was to add a bond to Arno James contract. That just seems prudent when you're in the kind of environment that we're in to not accept the risk of something going wrong with Arno James without having a bond in place. So that was change order number 2. Change order number 3 was the $42,000 change order, which was, we talked about the south side balconies. That was that change order number 4 was $5,500, and that was to prepare. And this was on the land side of the contract, so this was no negotiation. But there were 2 broken tension cables that they prepared, and each of those $2,700 each. So that's $5,500. So any discussion amongst the board on either of those change orders?
I'll make a motion to approve change
Second.
orders number 2, 3, and 4.
We have a second. Any further discussion, opposition? All approved?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next on here is residential unit entry doors. Jim, this was yours.
Yep, we've had some controversy recently about, I think everybody kind of knows the history of the doors. The original doors that were put in were, they were beautiful, but they were not up to fire standards, well approved, and they needed to change. And they were changed, going back to 2016, probably 2017. And so the doors that were put in, were heavier, that obvious reason. And the frame was built for the original doors, which wasn't substantial enough for the new doors. The solutions we come up with for that are two. One, we contracted with firm, that comes in and makes adjustments to the doors from time to time, make sure they're safe off, because what happens is the screws become loose on the top, actually. And the second solution we have is we have a piano hinge that you put down on the whole length of the door on one side. And it works because it solidifies everything. I have it on my unit. Tom has it on his unit. We have it, I think, on 10. So that works. So that's we have two options. So for we do have an issue currently with 1101, which Tom doesn't feel that it is the aesthetics are not as good, and frankly, the aesthetics are not quite as good on the hinge on the inside. In his case, they use a aluminum color that doesn't look good. There's an option to that. In the line door, they got a bronze one that almost identically matches the door, and it actually looks pretty good. And then there are bolts on the outside of the door, which David has submitted my unit and touched them up. Actually, look pretty good. I mean, would you prefer not having the bolts there? I think yes, but it works. And so those are the two protocols we're using. Well, that would go ahead, Tom.
Anyway, after the last meeting, Jimmy and I looked at mine, this does look better. And a few meetings ago, Jennifer sent David to come look at mine. And so Jim and I are going to work on perhaps converting mine to look like yours.
Yeah, I think Tom would look.
It needs help.
That would with the bronze finish, and your bolts are much easier to deal with than mine. So that's the issue of the door. Any questions on the door? Yeah.
What I can see is that the door bucks frame of the door. It's not installed properly, and it causes problems. So the doors, when they close, sometimes they'll rub on the door frames. And there are slight adjustments you can make to alleviate that. But I think this could be, other problems that people have.
Yeah, Rick Slider testified exactly what you're saying, the bucking, the structural elements, beefing up, and the association did a good job on its settlement with that subcontract. And, but this is, I see as a good temporary, perhaps a long-term solution, once, these other bigger projects. But Jim and I are going to work on at least one, but if you should see some kind of rubber, better to call it into the office and have DH based like this. But David, our in-house guy, he did Jim's. It was not, it wasn't the DH based, right?
I'm sorry.
David did your door.
No.
Yeah, so.
DH Pace installed the bronze and
I
then
see.
he touched it up to make it look better. But yeah, it's about $2,500 for the continuous hinge to be installed on the door.
David approved the aesthetics of it greatly.
Yeah, yours would be a special.
All right, the next item are downtown Sarasota updates. Jim, anything you want to say?
Well, you're aware that our neighbor, the Zenith building, is scheduled for demolition, I believe, at this point sometime this summer.
Is that Zenith?
Yeah, the one in the corner, the roundabout, no, up further. All the way across the first one. So I imagine there will be some road closures this summer. A lot of buildings are popping off election coming up. There are 3 candidates vying for 2 open seats. And I have my own recommendations. Anyone who's interested in having a meeting, greet in here in the next few weeks, I would be happy to host it for any and all candidates, especially John Marshman. Let's see what else is going on. The city is negotiating and fighting 3 or 4 simultaneous lawsuits. You have Obsidian, our neighbor, who wants to build to see over our neighbor, Bay Plaza. They're still fighting that. That's going to be coming up, but that could be in mediation between city staff and the builder. I think Ron Superior is leading that cause, is taking another step in that. Miramar, which is another neighbor south on Palm, is going to start demolition sometime next. Also, the noise and sound and the special event ordinances are coming up. That affects us greatly because we're in the middle of all the excitement here. What our ad hoc group is doing is trying to push so that it's more livable. Fewer special events. There are 32 events. They're not special anymore. So we're trying to reduce the number of that, and we're trying to get some little bit more quiet. You'll see there's a digital sign right here at Palm Avenue about it's a violation to rev your vehicles. So we're making progress dealing with the city attorney and the staff for all of these things. So I will keep people updated if anyone wants to be involved or get updated right up to speed. I'd be happy.
Jim, does the city actually have someone present during these events to whatever machine they use to measure the decibel level?
Well, they've been kicking this sound ordinance can down the road for 4 or 5 years. Well, at least, but formally, the former city manager was working on it. He had a matrix of what all the other cities allow for maximum, and we exceed all. We exceed Miami, we exceed LA, we exceed all that. And so the answer for enforcement with the police for the last 5 years, we're undergoing or evaluating a noise ordinance, so we're not going to enforce almost anything. That's been their position. They don't have it. Yeah, we all know that. In the restaurants, you're sitting outside enjoying a meal, some guy comes with his motorcycle, grabs purposely just to so there's been almost no enforcement, but there's going to be enforcement with the new ordinance, but it's slow in coming. There's sound and all the events they have going. You know how they have all these block parties, like Kel Melvin had a block party, and it was 100 decibels. 85 decibels down here for any length of time is deafening. 100 decibels is really bad. And so we've had to endure a lot of this stuff. 80 events. Yeah, lots of events. Any other questions about the city, the politics, the elections coming up? The election is in August. I know most of us are away, so please register for your ballots ahead of time.
Jim, the candidates that are running,
Yeah.
Are they resident friendly or are they more business friendly?
I would say Romanetti, who is married to Jennifer Romanetti, Rob Romanetti. She is the CEO of Botanical Gardens, and she's party central. That's their position. They're really, and they have a coalition of people who really like this, like Nashville. And then you have John Harshman, who I've known for years and years, and he's a businessman. He's been there for 50 years, and he is neighborhood sensitive, but he can balance smart growth with the neighborhood. And we've walked with the city assistant manager. We walked downtown together, and he points out every nook and cranny. So I think he's because I think he can influence the holdout absentee from District 1, over, Newtown, who keeps getting elected, and he can't refuse a pardon. He's dancing on the stage. And he doesn't go to a lot of the community meetings, but it shows up at all the restaurants, and bars. He's famous for that. So that's not this cycle. We hope to take him out in 2 more years. So on this cycle, it's the 2 at large. We have 3 candidates. In 2 years, the cycle is the 3 separate districts. 1, and we're in 2 downtown. There's 3 over there, Arlington. So this cycle, we hope to get somebody good at large. And then there's a runoff. If no one gets more than 50% of the vote out of 3, then they have to run off the 2 qualifiers.
What's your suggestion? Cut the chase.
Also, very on the extreme friendly for neighborhood would be Flo Entler. Flo is a neighborhood person, and I would say John Harshman is also a good choice because he can balance. And I think he's not seen as extreme. He might be able to influence the 3rd or 4th votes to help us out. So 1 is extreme neighborhood preservation, Flo Entler. And then you have that maybe Flo is already pigeonholed. She might not be able to bring over another vote. And then you have John, who can balance, I think, and more like. But I'm happy to discuss it. Any more questions regarding
Done event next.
John had an event at his home last night. What was last night? Yeah. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to meet candidates if you're interested, and I can discuss.
Interestingly enough, so in North Carolina, laws are different. There are a few towns that combine city council, not one more house. Yeah, and they just become, this is it's going to get, we'll approve nothing. Now, I don't think you do that.
Not in Florida. Florida is a freedom state, and you have to know Tallahassee errs on the side of development. They always have.
Okay, thank you. Sure. All right, next is orange questions and discussions. I ask, if you've got some, please limit them to 3 minutes so we can all move on with the rest of our day. Anyone? Right on.
My Jennifer knows this. My porch paint, our porch paint is delaminated or something. So
Yeah, it's gonna be taken care of after, like, the construction and stuff like that. R.L. James
Sure.
will take care of it.
What was it?
the paint or the gray paint or something is delaminated.
Yeah. It's happening in about 6 units.
Okay.
So it'll get taken care of once we get the stucco project done.
About the window frames?
No.
No, on the balcony decks.
The surface is about water.
Yeah,
Is that a function of the work that's been done?
no,
or is
it
that
was
just-
before all of that started.
Is that an extra charge to the homeowner or RLJ?
Well, it'll be an extra charge. It's not in the contract,
So maybe
but
we should talk about if I want to upgrade and put epoxy or tile on my balcony, that would be the time to do it.
Jim has a solution for that.
You did
The
it.
problem with the tunnel is you don't have enough clearance. If you look at that, when you open the door,
Yeah.
there's, it's got, I would love to put that on mine. You just don't
It's
have,
that tight.
it's very tight, so you really don't have enough, space there. I find it very thin set. Well, that's why we use this probably stuff that's on now.
Crummy stuff.
Yeah,
So you're not a fan of the epoxy?
not a fan of it, but it's the practical side of it, you can't, virtually not use anything else that's there.
Okay, and you can clean the epoxy. You can clean the epoxy, because I remember 3 or
Yeah,
4 years
yeah.
ago, we had people volunteering to have their.
There's various things you can do to it, but tile is not, doesn't use, to me, at least in my unit, it's not an option. It's there.
We're not- Thank you. One more question. Do you anticipate that we'll be able to use the pool next?
6 months?
Well, as.
No.
As that
No.
rotates around.
No. No, because they have have to have the deck for the stucco. They have to mix it and bring it up the deck. And when they move to like this side and this side, there'll actually be fencing built around the pool so you cannot access it. So it's gonna be a minute, unfortunately.
Maybe this over.
Well, it was initially a 14-month project and it started in August.
And it's gonna, each of these change orders, the contract says every 1,000 square feet of additional stucco gets an additional month of general conditions. I am sure that I'm going to negotiate that down some. But, it's, the time span is going to grow. Let me also say that while it's a pain in the butt, no doubt, if it takes a little extra time for them to make this what we want it to be, let's just be patient. Let it happen.
I think we're all on board.
I've got a question. So, you use the pool by 27
Next season.
I think we'll catch some part of next season. How much, I hesitate to venture a guess. But I think, yes, some part. I will say that it seems like, the speed is a little faster than it was on the south side. And I assume that's a two-edged sword too, because the faster they go, the less emphasis there is on what. And so I try not to be a terrible stickler about time, because I think it's got diminishing returns.
couple of points. So I have an informational packet for you, Roland, of some of the documents that apply to the operations. One common is the Blu-ray engineering report speaks to the drainage system as we get ready to enter another hurricane season. I'm encouraging the first service and the board to go up in the roof areas, because I'm looking out here at all this plywood on top of it, but in all probability are part of the drain system. And this is a system so that drains that are not able to suck water, put more water on other drains, could result in a backup condition. So something that Rick Slager, you Marty, and first service going up on the roof. I've not been up on it. Perhaps they have the same plywood protection for the plastic papers there. We already had, as Jimmy will remember, in September 2021, where the drains were clean, water came up, came cascading down the elevator, the beds went in. And that should be looked at before we get into this heavy rain season. Last year we had a glorious, hardly any rain season. This year, with this is important because all of the roof drains then come down and end up in our drainage vaults underneath the ramp, feeds through also. So over on the other side of the floor, they have impact. Rick's gonna have to come up with a solution for that, because that is gonna be significant. My other point is in this informational package, which is very beneficial for our association, is that we incorporated a declaration inside our declaration dealing with the operations of the Cafe Cafe, including no trash cans, no recycle bins. It's got to be cleaned in the alley. We use temporarily our trash room, and if they should do significant renovation, that trash is back to us. They got to come with their own trash, keep everything out of the alley. But my big point here is, Marty, when your discussions with our teams at the appropriate time when they're going to tile and stone finish work on the exterior of our ground level building, they provide a PCO, proposed change order, for a board member and perhaps Gennaro to go see the cafe here. Gennaro people say, here's what we can do for your exterior building, since the exterior building is not in good condition, as identified in our 4, 7, and 10 of that extra declaration. And we can help if maybe set them up on whatever aspect. We want that as a team here to have the similar looks as our new stone clad.
I'm happy The roof drains are all, there's, concern. There are, they do have, some pallets and things like that, in spots, where their weight system is. The roof looks pretty good. It doesn't look anything like this. The bigger challenge on the roof are all the cables, and again, as opposed to what's on the floor. But down here, I wholeheartedly understand what you're saying. And we'll look at the roof. I'm not saying we couldn't change something, but as of now, it looks pretty good. All right. Are there anything else?
Cover the line. Josh,
Oh,
why don't we introduce Josh?
yes, I did.
Well, only half of us.
I'll be one with this gym with you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Josh, right? My wife is not here with me. Cousins, first cousins. I don't know. And we're living here one day when we get done with stuff on work. Originally from Pittsburgh. My wife is still from Pittsburgh. Josh.
All right. Well,
You need help getting down the stairs. Oh, Josh.
yeah.
We'll come home and down the stairs.
Josh plays a lot of golf.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, Roland.
Can we just talk about the hurricane preparation?
Yes.
I mean, what I suggest is to put sandbag and make sure you have enough sandbag, because we found out it was the best way of protecting our building.
We ordered a pallet last summer,
I mean,
so we have extra bags.
during the storm, at the height of the storm, I had water by the garage up to my knee. So that's very important. It's less important when you come up the street,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's a lower part of the building over there.
It's a present.
Thank you.
I have one for you too, Becky. When you get it done. It's just some of the underlying documents in operating.
Toward Roland's point, if we've got a pallet in the back, right? How do we end up getting sand in the back?
the sand is already in the bags. They're
Sand's
already
in
filled,
there.
yes, and they're stored in the stairwells of both stairwells underneath. So we probably have,
No, that was just a protection from, we supply all those bags.
but we got
supply
more.
Some of it. Oh,
We
you
got
got more
more.
after that?
Yes, last year I had ordered it online from Home Depot, and they brought us a pallet of, I think there was like 32 more bags.
Or you need more than that. The garage will take a lot. That's really the most important, the garage right there.
Roland, may I suggest that you work with the
Yeah, I'd be
new,
happy
with the new Jennifer and look at what we've got and suggest if you think we need more? Yeah, because you've got the most experience for this, and we should defer.
I'd be happy. And also some people mentioned that, you cannot bag because you cannot leave the building. Well, if the city said that we evacuate the building, you have no reason to be in the building.
Yes.
So if the bags are put there to protect the building, if something happened to you, it's up to you. The city will not respond, the emergency will not respond, the power could be turned off, the elevator will not work. So it's rather, as soon as the city indicate that it's an emergency, you have to evacuate, the people who do not evacuate are responsible for whatever happens.
Yeah, because we cannot, if there's a resident on site, we cannot block the stairwells. So if we don't bag and put poly on those doors, then the stairwells will get wet and that can seep into the lobby. So if there is a mandatory evacuation, it is wise that you don't stay here, so that we can also protect the building too. Because if we do all the doors except for 2 or 3 doors, you're defeating the purpose. Yeah, so just food for thought going forward. And if there is an emergency and you need to get out of the building and there is a foot of water outside, you're not going to be able to open the door to get out. You are going to be stuck in the stairwell until the water recedes.
And I don't know if any of them were here during the
Yeah.
storm.
There were.
The trash between the building, it was so violent that would knock you down on the street.
Yes,
Mostly if you walk them.
yeah,
It was hard to walk, and I was here during that time, but it was very hard to walk.
yeah.
Hey, Marty,
Yes,
when do we get to meet the, caller? The new Jennifer? No one could replace Jennifer.
Oh, thanks,
it's
John.
a new person. It was supposed to be today. At least in my mind, I assumed you'd be here. I don't know the answer to that, but I would,
Well,
the sooner the better.
the bigger one is, we have a special meeting or
We certainly can arrange a meet. Now, I have met, you know, and she's obviously very capable. But we'll, you know, we'll certainly try to have, you know, whenever she's here, invite, you know, anyone that wants to come down and either feel free.
So she should be here for sure.
When
Well,
she's gone.
Looking forward.
Well, you're going,
That would be very logical.
but you're going out for a few days before that.
Yes, I'm leaving after this meeting.
Oh, is she gonna be here for that? She coming in now?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Not
because-
today.
Because this is the location. So this would just be operate as normal.
So that it'll be Sharon downstairs. David is out sick.
No, he's here. He went home sick yesterday, yeah, but he's here today, and he should be for the duration.
And so Sharon will be.
Sharon will be doing her cleaning and then doing the desk, and they'll,
They were the heck, Kimber?
as far as I know, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're both. So, great.
One other housekeeping item from an internal control standpoint with money that we manage for ourselves. We've got a dual signature system, you know, for anything that we spend out of our joint accounts. We had myself, Mark, and Jennifer as the authorized signatories on those accounts, and those were the people that, you know, statements and balance, you know, balance state, and all that stuff, sure, to just, you know, just to maintain, you know, an appropriate, transparent system of internal control. At this point, we have replaced the two that left and are leaving with Roland on the signature cards, and that's perfectly fine. So it would be he and me. If there's any other, you know, board member that would like to be copied on, you know, monthly statements and things of that nature, let me know. I'm happy to copy. You know, at this point, we'll just be copying Roland, which seems a little inappropriate if he and I are the signatories. That's, so I'm looking at you, the free volunteer.
I'll let you.
Now again, this is just to provide you with the information.
It's just a text message,
It's a text message, and
yeah,
it's a text
Once a
message
month.
of photos, bank statements, and an
Yeah.
email of the balance spreadsheet.
yeah, it's no extra work.
Okay, motion.
Motion to
Yes, we
adjourn?
have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. I'm sure we're all in favor. Aye. Aye.
Bye, everybody, bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Jennifer, enjoy your vacation.
Thanks, Becky.
See ya.
But you have the vacation first.
Well, I have to go find a place to live.